It was a thrilling game that Pragg played against Berkes. So his full name is Berkes Ferenc from Hungary. So this game involved a lot of sacrifices from Pragg, and it felt like it was all totally sound and called for, and it was really interesting. So e4 e6, the French. Now Pragg goes for d4 d5 and the advanced variation. Now c5 c3 knight c6. So basically black attacks d4 as much as possible, and Pragg plays a3, so that after takes he has the option of b4 and bishop b2. Now bishop d7 b4 directly. Now takes and rook c8. Bishop b2, knight e7. Knight c3 and knight a5. So of course, if you take it, you won't get much. You will just get a bad position in there. So bishop d3, knight c4, and bishop to c1, saving the bishop. A5. So it seems like the opening battle has gone in the favor of black somewhat, because he's attacking on the queen side. As in, he's challenging white space on the queen side. And there's a knight sitting on c4, rook sitting on c8. But look at his king side. That's a problem. He'll need knight f5, but then he'll have to give up a pawn in that case. And only then the bishop can get out. There are problems for him to solve. So here, Pragg just castles. Now rook b1, and after queen moves, he takes back. b5, cementing that knight on c4. Still looks very good for black, but the problems are still there. d5 is the problem with knight f5. So queen b6, and now rook e1 and h6. Rook e2. This is a very nice move. He's preparing to double the rooks on the a5. Bishop c6, and here Pragg plays rook a2. Black is helpless about his king. He has accepted that the king needs to stay here. Like, he's fine with the king staying here, because there's no nice way to get the knight out of there, right? So that's a problem. His opening is a problem here. The French defense didn't work for Berkes. So here Pragg plays bishop. Berkes plays bishop b7, and now Pragg plays this nice sacrifice, his first sack of the game. So what happens if knight takes rook? Pawn takes back, queen takes back, and then b5 hangs and d6 check is coming, and there's a rook looking at b7. So this is possible, but then white would just be in a great position. You got to stop knight d6, right? So you'll have to play knight c6 to prepare that, but then bishop f4, and after something like bishop e7, still knight d6 comes, and the position is just too good. d7 is hanging. You can't defend it any normal way. You'll have to like either play bishop a8 or so let's say he plays bishop to a8. Then we just activate the knight, and if you castle, there is queen g4, and after d7 you can play queen g4, and black's queen is completely out of play. So he cannot do that. So Berkes plays bishop c6, defending b5, so that if knight b5 he can take back with the bishop. But Pragg insists on the sacrifice. What happens now? What's the change? Takes. We still take. But here bishop can take. But after bishop takes, knight c6. What is the difference? Now there's a pin on the knight, and you can play bishop d2. And after queen moves to defend the knight, you can play queen b6 or queen c7. Let's say queen c7, then just rook c1 is a good move. Rook c1 and then queen d1 a4. Black cannot really remove the pin now. You can play bishop e7, but then by the time queen d1 comes. Oh wait, the knight's hanging. Sorry, knight's hanging. So you can't do that. You'll have to move the queen. And when you move the queen, now you can't play queen d1, yeah? But you can play bishop a6. That loses to bishop a6. So you can't do that. Let's say queen b6. Now what to do? This is a slight issue, isn't it? So maybe you can start with queen d1, so that you get queen a4. And then, for example, here bishop e7, now queen a4. Queen a4 or rook c1 now. Right? So that the queen can jump in. After the queen moves, then queen a4 comes. And now the knight is gone. You can play king d7, but the position will just be good after that. So even now, after queen e2, knight takes rook is not possible. It's possible, but it will be difficult for black. So Berkes ignores that and he plays g6, so that the bishop can come out this way. Now rook a1. Now definitely you can't take, right? Because okay, what happens if knight takes rook? Will the rook take or the pawn take? Which is better? Still pawn takes, and the queen can't even take back, which means the pawn will fall for free. Queen can go to a6 because the rook, but still knight takes pawn will happen. The queen a6 will still allow knight takes pawn, and it's just a crushing position for Pragg. So now the knight cannot take the rook, and after knight f5, Pragg plays rook a6. The sack is no longer there, and now g4, a very nice move. See, Berkes was threatening knight takes h4. You have to see that. So Pragg has taken a lot of time here. He was down to 16 minutes, and he played this move after 8 minutes, more than 8 minutes, allowing knight takes pawn. Pragg he's playing with energy, a lot of energy. Knight takes, queen is out, and Pragg's plan is he has just seen this position really well. He's understood this really well. He plays bishop takes, pawn takes, and now can you see what he played? Of course, b5 is a good idea. You can play b5, queen f3, all these normal moves. But he goes rook takes bishop. Killer move. He sacrifices that rook finally. This time black has to accept it. Black can't say no. Now after rook takes, he has a lot of, of course, rook check, king moves. That's the point, that the king is stuck. Now Pragg plays queen f3, another nice move, threatening f7. And there's no way to defend it, right? You can play king e7, but then rook a7 anyway will come. You can't play queen e7 because then b5 first, and if rook goes to c7, then b6, and then rook a7. Looks good. And even ideas of knight takes b5. So f5 was played. If you take en passant, now the file is blocked. The queen's file is blocked, and there is just one check, and the queen can't get in. So it seems okay for black here. You can play rook c8, apparently getting the pin out, or h5 going for counterplay. So Pragg didn't do that. Pragg goes b5, attacking the rook. The rook is forced to go away, and now comes the final killer move. Knight takes d5. That was like begging to be played. Even last move, this was a sort of an option, giving up the knight for the. But here queen g4 comes. Oh, that's a problem. So that's why Pragg didn't do that, because now queen takes, pawn takes. You can save the knight, but we remember we are still down in exchange, right? So we don't have that much counterplay. Now that the difference is after rook moved to c8, right? Now the difference is after knight takes, if the same thing happens, at the end you have knight b6 getting back the exchange. So you won't even be down material. So takes happen now. And after queen g4, because you can't really take this, then it's just going to be crushing for the black king. So he goes queen g4, takes, and knight b6. So Pragg gets back the exchange because king b7 gets back the piece for black. And after rook a6, the position is completely winning because now Pragg is completely active. G6 is hanging, and these pawns are too strong. And this pawn is also very good. So Berkes decided to play king b7, and now rook takes g6. G4 is also hanging. And after c3, Pragg played a very nice move. He didn't take the pawn. Taking the pawn allows king b6, and that can become murky with the counterplay. So he goes rook c6, a very nice move, keeping the c pawn under check. And look at these nice pawns; they can go together. Bishop c3, and now bishop takes h6. After rook d8, rook c4, defending the pawn and attacking the bishop. Bishop b3 is also an option here. I guess black would then play rook d5. So he didn't want to give that tempo. So rook c4, bishop moves, and now white's pawn is going up. King b6, and now c7, forcing rook e8, and now comes bishop g5, defending the pawn. King takes the pawn, but rook check, king moves, and now comes rook d5, just preparing rook d8. The king can move here, but even if the king moves, can you play rook d8? Is that no? You can't. Rook d8. If bishop takes, pawn takes, rook takes. Yeah, it's still winning. It's a piece up. Pawn c2, the bishop comes back. So rook d8 is still going to happen. So that's why Berkes didn't go for king c6. He just plays bishop b4. But rook d8 happens anyway. And after takes, the position is just completely winning. C pawn is under control. If you defend the pawn, the rook has enough space on the c file. You can just push the pawn. And if king b7, rook comes here. Now king will have to travel 2 squares, but rook will go back there. So that's enough time for white to promote or get the king in. So here, Berkes played g3. So if you take the pawn, I believe his idea is bishop f6. because rook takes is not possible because of bishop takes, and it's a fork. So that's his last ray of hope. But of course, Pragg doesn't fall for that. He just takes on c3, and here Berkes resigned because after pawn takes, king takes, it's just rook and pawn versus bishop. It's winning. And if you play bishop f6 here, then just rook takes pawn, and this is also completely winning. Just winning. So what a beautiful game by Pragg, completely dominating his opponent, who was just 100, less than 100 points below him, but he got schooled. So now Pragg is going to face Arjun in the quarterfinals, and Gugesh is going to face Magnus Carlsen in the quarterfinals, and then Caruana is going to be facing Lenier Dominguez, the two US players, and we have a tiebreak tomorrow between Vidit and Nepo, and that will decide the final quarterfinalist. So it's going to be one heck of a quarterfinal pairing this time.